Hello, fellow travelers. Welcome to Respawn Station. My name is Kandula, and today I'm joined by Austin Perkins to talk about the games that made us. I will say, a very bold title. You know what I mean? It feels like we're gonna go deep with this. You know what I mean? The
So
games
you
that
want to know
made us.
what actually made me think of this?
Yep.
Is I remember one point in college you came up and you were thinking about doing like some sort of assignment on like video games and the escape that you get from it.
Yeah.
And like I remember describing like that just emotional reaction of like getting that perfect environment in a video game that just sucks your whole life and soul. And it really does shape who you are to a degree of just like certain fan bases, like certain interactions you've had with people that you've never met in life and never will meet, that you'll remember forever. Like just
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
feeling of like inside me, there's just like 1,000 good moments, and all of those moments like can probably link back to a connection I made over a video game.
Yeah. Well, to hear more about that, you got to have to stick around because that's the main topic of the show. Before we begin too deeply into it, I do want to address the elephant in the room. Austin's lighting is really bright. Yes, I already commented on it, and he's not changing it.
I
So,
made sure to wear a white shirt too, so it bounces off.
yeah. It's actually his costume is all that's lighting me actually
Oh
currently.
wait, actually, sir, you said you wanted more lights.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Actually, you took the words right out of my mouth.
I can do that. Wait.
Let's see where this goes.
It's the backlighting of my TV right in front of me. It's on red currently.
Oh, you gotta put it into a blinding blue. Hey, is that blue? I could.
Here, wait, gotta turn it all the way up.
You see it slowly start coming in. Oh,
Oh no, it just kind of turns white if I.
I also
Yeah,
have.
I don't think I'm getting to a color where it's going to be blinding, but it kind of
Just
illuminated
smile.
a little
Just
shadow
smile,
here,
and I'll
so.
get there. Jeez. All right. So, of course, like every episode, we start by asking ourselves a very important question. Austin, what have you been playing?
Oh, here you go. Ready?
Oh, snap. He's good.
Boom.
Call of Duty World at War on the
Call of Duty
Xbox
World
360.
at War.
Okay.
So, obviously, fans of the Chumbag universe know that we went
I'm
back.
glad it's a universe
Well,
now.
It's a universe, yeah. It's
yeah, we're in phase 3 right now, I think.
Yeah. Like we just had Civil War.
Yeah.
Now we're, now
Getting
we're
ready
going
for
into
Endgame. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all downhill for after that, but but so we've just played Black Ops 6. What was that,
Zombies.
Saturday?
Yep.
Specifically the zombies mode. I even went back and I like recently and I played a second match of multiplayer.
Oh, nice.
And I did like the Nuketown 24/7, and I was like,
I've seen clips from this, but
nothing about this is like super fun to me. I mean, it's like exciting because it still feels like a older Call of Duty, which I do appreciate. But something about the zombies, I've just had that itch. And
wow.
so I went out on Sunday, picked up a few things, did some errands, and I was like, oh, let me stop at this video game store I used to go to all the time, and I picked up 3 games. I picked up a copy of Dragon Age Origins because I want to have a physical copy of all the games that we do the retrogrades for.
Oh, okay.
So I picked up a copy of that for relatively cheap. Call of Duty World at War, and part of that was 1, I want to go back and play, and 2, funny enough, before I even was just like, it was something I was thinking about doing anyway. Brittany, my girlfriend, who was with me, she was like, oh, I really like that old zombies game where like you kill the Nazis. And I was just like,
Nazi
talking
zombies.
about Nazi
Yeah.
zombies? And she's like, yeah, like Call of Duty. And I was just like, I know exactly which one you're talking about. And she's like,
Yep.
no, it's not that one. And I had to find it in the store because I was like, this like vintage video game store, if they don't have one copy of Call of Duty World at War, I revoke any access that they have to calling themselves a video game store. So I obviously I found it. I bought that. And you want to take a guess what this third game is I bought?
Condemned Criminal Origins on the Xbox 360.
No, I do have that coming in. I had to buy that online.
Oh, okay. Damn, okay.
I actually, it was $15 for that, the first one and the second one. So I have both of them.
There's a sequel. Oh shit. Okay.
There is Condemned 2, Bloodshot.
Okay. All right. So what's the game you ended up?
Any other guesses?
Is it on the 360 as well?
It's a PS4 game.
PS4. Oh, PS4 game. Okay.
Yep. And Dragon Age Origins I also got on the
Dragon
PS3.
Age Inquisition.
No.
Dang. Do you own Inquisition already?
I own it because I have Game Pass.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Now, for those of you at home that were playing along, those that said Just Dance 2019, you would be correct.
You gotta hold it right in front of your face. But there you go.
Right in front of my face. When you look at me, you're like, that's a man that likes to get down and boogie.
It does, yeah. You know,
so
why'd you get Just Dance? Is just you wanted to play Just Dance? Is it?
I picked it up because I was like, oh, Brittany would be excited about this, and funny enough, I was more excited about it than she was. So,
dang.
So yeah.
Yeah, I do like actually genuinely, I like Just Dance. I think I
know. No,
Just Dance.
You played it.
Yeah. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah. And I was actually
so that was kind of my thought process. I'll get Just Dance 2019. And then like I'll do the pass like to get all the access to the songs because I know she used to dance and do all that stuff and she used to play Just Dance, and she specifically wants to play like older songs.
Sure.
So I was like, I got the perfect fucking thing for you. We can go back and do this on this pass thing.
Yeah. That I do also have that membership that is to get all the old songs because there are certain versions of Just Dance that I don't want to go out and buy. That you can just kind of access that way. But I was saying I was tempted to get Xbox. The Just Dance on the MetaQuest because I saw there's like a version on MetaQuest 3 or whatever.
I wonder how that is.
That's exactly what I was wondering. I haven't gotten it yet, but it's on my list.
I would imagine it's the same thing, but maybe you're one of the dancers, like you're like a backup dancer.
From what the images I saw, it seems to be like you're like it's in completely, it's in virtual space and you're just standing in front of like the dancer, like almost like, an instructor just right in front of you, and then you just mimic them like,
Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense too. So it's literally the same thing, but instead of having it on a TV, you have it
so
as if you're like standing in front of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I can do Thriller in a graveyard.
Yeah. Or you can buy Just Dance and then do it in virtual graveyard too.
Yeah, both work.
Both work. So how is Call of Duty World at War? Or have you just been playing zombies, or are you going back and playing campaign on veteran like a real man?
Honestly, so like one of the first things I did, because she wants to sit down and actually like play zombies together.
Okay. Like co-op?
One of the first things, like co-op, like just run a little bit of it, see how far we can get together, and but so what I've done is there's just like a few things that like I just remember because I really did play the shit out of this game. So like I booted up the campaign, and that first mission, there's like the Easter egg to get the ray gun, and like I've just been doing shit like that, man. Just going back to the good old days. Nice. I mean, just having fun. Like when you used to, look up on YouTube like how to get ray gun and like all that shit. That's
I used to go and look up jump spots.
Also,
on
100% feeds into our topic of like
it does.
This is like what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I used to look up like jump spots, like you stand here and then you cook a grenade and toss it, like a search and destroy. You can get like a whole team if you're lucky. Yeah, there's definitely, I think part of that for me also ties into early YouTube as well. Just kind of like I think there's two things, like my gaming love and my YouTube.
I mean,
love
we both watch Sidemen, but like you've had a longer history with them. It goes back to those exact moments of like when they used to play Call of Duty and shit.
Yeah, so, exactly. I remember I used to watch Ali A before he I don't know what he does now, but I think Fortnite still before he does that. It was crazy, like seeing the arcs that some of these people have. It's like, yeah, it's interesting. But of course, I don't want to distract from the point. We're going to touch on this, of course, when we get to the main episode. But so what you just that's playing around in zombies, getting Easter eggs and stuff.
Yeah. I haven't really haven't had much time the past week to really play much games. That's why I haven't really even gone back and played more Yakuza. Just because I don't have time to do it. So
yeah,
I would rather go back and just kind of feel that little bit of nostalgia of
chill out a little bit,
picking up a game. Yeah, and just hang out. I did go back to Black Ops 6 as well. I went back, played.
Do you think it's something that you're gonna stick with?
Honestly, I think it's just one of those things where I think I'm just really feeling the zombies. Like I said, I went.
That's fair.
I think it was it was yesterday. I went and I was like, all right, I'll play one game of multiplayer, see how that's like, and go from there. And I played the game. It was fun. It was like domination on Nuketown, so it was very chaotic. A lot of kills, a lot of deaths, just grenades flying everywhere, concussion grenades, smoke grenades, just a clusterfuck of things happening on this small map. And it was fun. But as soon as I was in that match, I was like, all right, I'm booting up zombies because I want to see what else I can do in here.
Right.
We played for like 3 hours the other day, but like we really didn't accomplish anything.
We did extract twice on level 15. So
yeah,
but that's just for the number. We didn't go after any Easter eggs or complete the story.
So that's more so what I'm talking about is that there's actually a mission to do on both of the maps.
Yeah.
So that's more so the stuff. I was trying to find people that were willing to do it. It seemed like some people were really into it and then others weren't. So I just got to be in some lobbies where I would come across people doing the Easter eggs and stuff like that. So I got to see a lot of cool things happen.
Oh, nice.
I think I made it to like round 20, which, I mean, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I think we could have made it a little further, but I just got to the point where I think they were all done with.
I think it'd be interesting to see like a stream idea would be all three of us, Austin, Alexa, and myself, who stream. First of all, shout out Kevin. He says OMG high end guest.
Oh damn.
Yeah, he was expensive. I had to honk 3 times on the corner.
Yep.
And pay double to get him in the car.
And listen, I charge by the hour.
Yep.
I do.
Yeah. You can't find a good co-host anywhere, Red light district. That's mainly it.
Listen, it's the white light district in here.
These
lights
true.
are very bright.
That's true. Oh shit! I completely derailed my thoughts on what I was saying. By our side rail.
It's all right. See, just.
But we're talking about
be quiet.
Oh, okay.
Now talk about your game. See, that's how you transition it.
Oh no, I was gonna keep going about because here we go.
Okay, yeah, keep going then.
So the idea was all three of us hop into a call, and we each stream solo zombies, but we see how far we can get. I mean, I feel like Alexa's probably gonna be out round 5, but
You think she would last till round 5?
I would hope so. Maybe it's like a vote, I'm hoping she does, but I think it'd really be down to me and you, and then I think if I was a betting man, I'd say you'd make it to like 20, and I'd die at like 14, 15. But
by myself,
you don't think so? Because it is skill. It is a reduced number of zombies and stuff.
More of the thing with the modern day zombies is that I'm just not used to the armor packs. So that's the number one thing I forget to do.
Yeah.
So I'm just not good with that. Managing that, I'm like, okay, my health is up. And then when you get to those later rounds, 10, 11, 12, you can start getting really caught up in a horde and you're done.
Yeah. It is funny because those 3 hours that we played, I could slowly feel my those old connections being made, those synapses being fired up of how to run a zombie train and how to loop around and dodge. And honestly, with omnidirectional movement, it actually makes that whole thing easier in terms of how smoothly you move around.
100%. Being able to and it's things that it's so seamless that we don't even really notice it in zombies. In multiplayer, it's very fucking hard to actually use it. So like, good on the people that can use it, but also fuck those people that can actually use it.
Yeah.
But like in zombies, like I'm running side to side, like not even thinking about it. I'm jumping and diving over cars and like sliding under zombies. Like you can feel the movement and the motions that like they created.
Yeah.
And it works very well in zombies, and it makes it feel old but new. Like it's the perfect it's the perfect blend of like what it should be. It's just that like it's hard to master. It's almost like the idea of building in Fortnite, where like when it first came out, everyone's like, "That's pretty exciting."
Yeah.
But like now it's like, if you're good at building, fuck you. All right.
Yeah.
No one cares. Get a life.
Bob's. These freaking Bobs.
Get out of here. Bob the builders. Get out of here.
Yeah.
That's why when we play Fortnite, we play no build. We
like real adults.
Like real men. Like people that work an 8 to 6, you know?
Yeah. The other thing though, we'll talk about it briefly because I don't think I have too much yet to say about it, but and I'll talk about why I haven't had much to talk about it. But on Friday we also jumped into Predator Hunting Grounds for the first time, and this was the PS5 release. Shout out to Ilphonic and the PR team for sending us over a few codes to check out. Honestly, I had a good time with it, and it made me. So I have like a copy of all the first 3 Predator movies. So that's Predator 2 and Predators. So and
Predator die, if you will.
Yes, yeah. The predology. The predology, as they say. And I think I'm actually going to try to watch one this weekend. They are a really good movie. Well, some of them are really good. But as a fan of the movies, I do think you get a decent experience of like that, like what it feels like to be the Predator. But honestly, and I'll speak for myself, but I think Austin will probably agree with it, that there's a main game mode in the game, which is the 1v4 asymmetrical multiplayer mode.
I was already going to stop you if you didn't go here. Like,
and this is what's classic. Like this is literally it's a 4v1, 4 humans versus a predator, and that's the main core game mode. But there's another one that's called Clash, which is essentially like TDM, but as you get kills and stuff,
otherwise known as the game mode that we played.
yes. Essentially as you play, your team unlocks the ability to take control of a friendly predator and attack the other team. It's also like a little bit like domination, so it's not entirely based on kills. I should also say that, but maybe like hard point I'd say is more accurate. But yeah, honestly, I actually had a lot of fun with that mode. It was just smooth enough. It felt like just playing a first-person shooter. I was able to kind of, honestly, I don't remember, Austin, what you were comparing it to when we were playing, but to me, it reminded me of Battlefield. I don't think it's quite as like graphically intense, but it had like some of the first-person shooter like the style, I guess, of a.
So luckily for you, I know exactly what I said because I went back and watched the stream.
Oh, okay.
I typically do this because days I work from home, I just throw something on in the background.
Yeah.
If we stream that past weekend, I do that, try to grab some clips. And I still agree with the kind of comparison that I gave it, is the new Star Wars Battlefront games.
Oh, okay, sure.
And the reason that I give that comparison
interesting though, but another EA dice game.
Yeah. No, I guess that is a good point. That maybe it's just EA. Maybe it just has the EA first-person shooter vibe. But the comparison there was more so because you go from being a general foot soldier to being given the option of like upgrading and being like that overpowered, like more fun class.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Where like like you like all
Darth
of a sudden
Vader,
I'm not just a
Luke.
a stormtrooper. I'm now Darth Vader.
Right. Yeah. That's fair.
And that's and like the gameplay itself, like just shooting and the loadout building, it very much reminds me of the EA Battlefront games.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So I'm looking forward to playing a little bit more of Predator Hunting Grounds, and also some
probably tomorrow, right?
Yes, yeah, and also
tomorrow, Saturday.
some Black Ops 6 Zombies. So we'll see how that goes. Now,
So what have you been playing, Suri?
thank you, Austin.
I believe you told me you were going to be finishing this game yesterday, but you were unable to.
No, so here's the thing. A few weeks ago, Nick and I did an episode of the Respawn Station podcast where we talked about the perfect gaming marriages. And the idea was that we essentially pitched cool games that we'd like to see, like a Mission Impossible game from IO Interactive or something. And one of the games that had been in my mind for a very long time, well, not very long time, but, a few years now, is a Alien Isolation type game from, set in the Quiet Place universe. And The Quiet Place, A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead. Did I say that right?
Yep, that is the correct title.
Is not that, but I also don't think it's trying to be that. So I want to explain. So let's start from the top. The game has you playing as a woman named Alex who finds out that she's pregnant. She's about 100 or so days into the end of the world, since the meteors came down with the death angels on them. And she has to survive and get to safety while escaping the death angels and stuff. And the whole game is about 8 hours long and takes you through a few different kind of industrial and nature areas as you get to safety, the ultimate goal. Now, I'm trying to think of how to approach this best to explain. First of all, I guess the easiest way to say it is, I think the game is good, but there are places where I think it could have been great and made the whole experience a little bit better. But of course, I'll talk about that kind of in the second half. The first things I'll say, right off the bat, the game looks pretty nice and it sounds pretty good, which are two of the kind of the core things when you're playing a horror game like this. Essentially, it's kind of like a stealth simulator, in terms of the whole game is centered around stealth mechanics. You cannot make a sound. There's obstacles all along the path that are, like leaves that could crunch under your footstep, or glass that's broken that you if you step on it will crack and stuff that would kind of make a sound.
Now, just to kind of break up right there,
yeah,
what you're talking about, I'm going to go back to my experience, like watching the first Quiet Place, and this is kind of like the universal experience that everyone had, was that obviously the role of sound in that universe of A Quiet Place plays a very large role. And when you got to see it in a theater, that first movie, that initial sound, like when I believe the first thing that happened was the toy went off, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like that, like it invoked a reaction.
Yeah, because right from the credits, it's just quiet.
It's dead silent.
Yeah.
And like everyone knew the gimmick going in, but like somehow it still got you.
You weren't expecting it to be so fast, so like just to get right into it.
And like the sounds are just very jarring because it's so quiet in there, that like whenever you do hear something, it's like, holy shit, like I'm in danger.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have that kind of same reaction to sound as you're playing through the game, or is it a little bit of like you're out of that illusion of like sound because it is a video game and it's like not as immersive? How does that?
Yeah. So
how does that play into your experience?
Two things. So first of all, I also played the game. I didn't just play the game, fully locked in terms of like having headphones in and, playing in the dark. I also had noise detection on. And since I was playing on the PlayStation 5, it just used the microphone from my PlayStation 5 controller. And, got to be honest, surprisingly, not like it didn't do too much in terms of like making me any more like I was already quiet. I wasn't I wasn't loud to begin with. I'm not just playing horror games like screaming.
You weren't like, oh my god, I have to sneeze, and doing like the stereotypical like somebody comes over and covers your nose.
There is one time, so over on my channel, youtube.com/SDSK, I had a video where it was just like a few clips of like on my hard drive that were from A Quiet Place, and one of them is my smart device saying it connected to my computer, like Bluetooth. And I was like, and so I was like in this middle of this intense sequence, and all of a sudden Bluetooth connected, and I was like, shit. So yeah, and there's one time where I like stupidly, I don't know why, but like I just answered a call, and it's just me going hello, and then the monster's like whoa. So it was there's a few times where like that happened, but it wasn't ever like I accidentally like jumped and then gave myself away. It like that never happened. It was more sounds that are mostly out of my control that I was like, oh wait, that like the Roomba could kill me.
But so that those are the exact things. Is kind of like what I'm talking about. Is like obviously, especially in the movies, you're further along into this world. Like it's not 100 days. 100 days is still.
The movie's 100
to where you learn
days,
things.
isn't it? Isn't it the same? Isn't the movie
I
like
thought
100
years after? No,
I think it's like 100.
Is it really that soon? I swore it was older. Like,
it could.
Like
Look, I'm not
down.
a Quiet Place expert. I did.
Neither am I.
I did watch all 3 movies, but I haven't.
I watched the
watched
first 2. I have not watched day 1 yet.
I haven't watched.
I do plan on.
I believe that that one is set on day 1, if I'm correct. So there's at least.
Listen, we're not big on the Quiet Place.
Yeah.
I don't know if Quiet Place day 1 happens on day 1. But like what I was gonna say is that either way, like the sounds that are out of your control are the most anxious, like and ones that fill you with that feeling more so than anything else while you're watching the movies, because it's not like they can just cover someone's mouth or do things like that. Like, of course, those moments happen every now and again in the movies, but it's the toys that fall out. It's the crackling of leaves. It's like a bird
small things
fluttering. Like it's small things like that you can't control that invoke the most reaction. So when those things accidentally happen in the world around you, I
can see.
Like how did you feel emotionally? Like did you go like, oh shit, like
did
you have that rush of like adrenaline that you're like, I need to fix this right now?
It does give you a bit of like, I need to reconsider when I'm playing this. But to kind of go back to your original question, I'm glad that in chat I see this is Nick, not Austin, Kevin. Yeah, that's true. This is Nick in HD. If you didn't know,
I just got a better camera.
Yeah. So to go back to your point, this is a video game. Like there are things that are so video gamified in this experience that it's hard not to realize that and kind of accept it. If you're looking for something that is like truly immersive and that you could almost like, get lost in, which I would say like Alien Isolation is one such game in terms of like, you're on the Nostromo and you're like, okay, I'm on this fucking spaceship, trying to figure my way out. It's not quite the same experience.
And no one can hear you scream.
Yes. Or sing. But but the difference is, so like what I mean by, it's a video game is that there's, constant yellow spray paint. Like anything you're interacting with is just yellow spray painted, just so you know where to go going forward. There's also just...
To be fair, though, we did see that exact same thing also in the movies, where they had like the sand that you would literally just walk on, and it would be a perfect path from the store. Yeah, like so, like as not the cop like.
And there are sandbags that you can pick up and pour in front of you as you walk, in certain areas of the game to kind of quiet the footsteps.
Like dampen your footsteps. Yeah.
There's also like everything that is dangerous in terms of like, there's like certain cans and buckets that will be left out that if you kick, it'll make a sound. They're like spray painted red or like have like a red paint job on them, like a little bit. There's also, I mean, it's like there's a lot of those like, oh, you got to pick up the plank and then move it here and put it down, like these very things that you kind of get used to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So again, if you're fine with that, if you know that you want a video game experience and you're not there for full kind of character immersion, then that shouldn't be a problem. The experience overall is relatively intense. There's certainly moments where I was like, really kind of like clutching my controller and just focused, like holding my breath, making sure I was getting to where I needed to without, accidentally kicking something. And and here's another weird thing, like, the main character, Alex, has asthma, and she, you have to give her, like, use an inhaler occasionally to kind of calm her lungs, and like every inhaler you pick up is one use. You pick it up and go, and then
Yes.
in video games, like, yeah, sure, oh yeah, it's, you use it once and then it's gone, like just like a battery, you use it once, it's gone. But inhalers don't work like that in real life.
Yeah, that's not how it works. Yeah, I mean, unless you get very unlucky and there just so happens to be one pump.
In every So it's like a little bit like that. That's again, you just have to understand that's part of the package.
And like, so, you already kind of touched on it, but like Alien Isolation, for example, when a xenomorph is present,
yeah,
your heart drops. Like, you're like,
yes, yeah,
I need to be super careful right now.
Yeah.
And I need to be very aware. Is it the same kind of concept and feeling when a creature from A Quiet Place comes? I don't think, do they have names?
Death Angels.
Death Angels.
Yes. Just like
never in a million years said that.
Just like the Warhammer 40K chapter, the Space Marine chapter. But so, I actually appreciate that you're asking me these questions, Austin, because they're I have the perfect answers for them. I can paint you the full picture here. Hopefully,
this is what I'm here for, man. I draw it out.
So the game is very open, like very centered around the Death Angels, and at first I was like, oh snap, like it's pretty significant how much I've seen these Death Angels, and I actually have it in my notes, like, oh, I wonder if my thoughts on this will change, but I think it's cool, like, in terms of how they're using the Death Angels, because essentially the game for the most part is a set of environmental puzzles, right, that you have to navigate, in terms of, like, there's a bunch of traps and things that will fuck you over all along the path. You have to get from point A to point B, and how you get there is up to you, right? And in that sequence, they just plop a Death Angel in there, and it's constantly like hunting and like clicking and trying to find out if there's anything alive near it to beat to death. And again, at first is really intense. I think, but by the very end of the game, it is like, okay, I've made, like, maybe you could have taken the foot off the gas a little bit and just, kept them a little bit more hidden, or like, just not so repetitive, because that's kind of the core mechanic of the gameplay. And it's 8 hours. I think it should have been a little bit shorter if its main kind of enemy was just the Death Angels. Not to compare it to Alien Isolation, but I'm going to say it since you also just brought it up in the question. But like, and by the way, I also think that Alien Isolation is a little bit too long as well. But
yeah, 100%, because that game, especially because of how difficult it can be, it does keep going.
And Alien Isolation has a second villain, right? There's the Xenomorph, but then in the second half of the game, for a bit, there's these androids that come in that are like, fucking devious. In this game, they don't have that. They don't even have like a human threat. I'll say, like, they have an antagonist, but they don't have like an actual, like, I think it would have been pretty interesting if we saw the same mechanics that were used against the Death Angels, but you have a human on the look. So now, instead of just being quiet, you have to also hide physically. I think that would maybe like change up the gameplay a bit.
Kind of like A Quiet Place 2, where they had the people that were like,
oh yeah, sure,
trying to break into their house.
And I
think they were trying to like get the daughter or something like that, right?
I don't remember.
Either way, like, I remember very distinctly that they were like because they found themselves in like a encampment that was already like guarded, and then the guy died who was like actually living there, so they just inhabited that area, and then yeah, they like someone saw them come in, so they were trying to
Hmm.
come in and get them. So I think that would have been nice to have
Yeah.
somebody who's like not afraid of these Death Angels, and they're just like, bring it. Like, what are you gonna do? Kill me?
And I do think that it's also, I could see the term walking simulator being thrown around for this game. Personally, I think that mantling simulator is much more of an appropriate name, because you're walking, you do a fair amount of walking, but there is so much mantling in this freaking game, Austin. And look, this game loves its squeezing through tight spaces animation. Like you go up and it's just like your character has to shimmy along a little space. That's common, but there's also, there's a thing in my notes that I wrote down, which was I had to climb up onto a box, which was one press of an X. Then I had to climb the fence on the other side, which was to go to the other side, which is another press of an X. And on the other side, I had to climb down from the box on the other side, which was a third press of the X. Dude, Liam Neeson does this in 5 shots in Taken 3. We don't need this. I'm not Liam Neeson. I don't need to do this many interactions to get across a fence. It should be I do it from one side and it just mantles the whole thing. But I get it. They're trying to play on the idea of like the slowness and the suspense. And I played the game on normal difficulty, and that slowness and suspense is really good if you don't die. If you, make it through the sequences in one go, it's awesome, because then like you maintain a level of high. That's not what you maintain a level of like intensity that and you keep it at that high for the whole time if you don't die. If you do die, what ends up happening is and I didn't die too often, but it's just
you get like desensitized.
Yeah, exactly. And you move so slowly that like every time you die, you're like, okay, fuck, I want to do this a little bit faster because I've already been through this. And it's like this fine balance. And then eventually, again, with seeing the Death Angels for so much of the game, by the end of the game, if I die like 2 or 3 times, I'm able to like kind of cheese them almost in terms of like how I'm getting around. Not perfectly. They definitely do. They do kill you pretty fast. But you get the general. You can do things that are like a little bit more cheeky that you might not do in real life, or they might not try in the movies, for example. But and also to continue the idea of the xenomorph kind of hunting you and your heart dropping, the Death Angels, I don't think that they're quite as intelligent. I'm not to be mean to the Death Angels, but I just don't think that the AI is quite like as like actively hunting. It's more so just looking for sounds, and if it picks it up.
So that's exactly what my response was going to be. Was, see, they can't be as smart because they're only using one of the senses. They got to use all of them.
Yeah, but they're fucking taking out the entire planet. You know what I mean? And I have to imagine that there's some central mind that they have. I don't know if it's like a hive mind or anything. I don't know what the lore behind the Death Angels is, but regardless, they also, one of the things your character has is a phonometer, and essentially it's very gamified, but it tells you what you need. So it's 2 sound bars. One is the sound of the environment around you, and then the second is your sound, like your personal sound, how much sound you're making. And so if your sound gets too high or above the environment sound,
natural sound,
you'll start hearing like first you'll hear like a little doom, like a little like sound effect to trigger into it. And then you'll start hearing the clicks of the Death Angels, and eventually they'll either show up or they'll just fucking kill you. Like they'll just kill you. And yeah, the last thing I'll say, before I'll throw it back for Austin, any questions. about the Death Angels and the whole kind of experience as a whole is they really do the Death Angels justice in terms of they animate, they look, and the kill cams are like really like well done. They have a lot of personality, which is really funny because I think that the whole human element of the game just completely does not work for me, which I think again is one of those things where it kind of could have been great, but it just ends up being in that good range because this game is a first-person game the entire time, and you jump around a little bit. You go to day one for briefly, and then you come back, and you go to day one briefly, and you come back. And so you get some kind of backstory and background. And there are some cool sequences in here, by the way, that like you wouldn't expect it. Like, there's a car chase in this game, and you wouldn't expect that in a horror video game, but they do it.
Especially one that's based around sound.
Yes, yeah. And so there are interesting kind of kernels there, but you could tell that it's budgetarily restricted. It's not, I don't think it has the budget of even Alien Isolation. I don't know what the budget for that game is, but fidelity wise, this game's not punching AAA or quadruple A. But that being said, the experience is. I'm trying to think of how to word this. I was trying to bide myself time on how to say it. But oh dang, I did not realize that the chat was popping off like this. Hello, everybody watching. Loading.
Hello,
Kevin, Alexa,
watching.
What's up? Hello. Anyway, to get back into the topic. Oh, Austin, I'm all over the place, man. I meant to say this when you were talking about it earlier.
You fucking seen it, man.
It's okay. You mentioned the toys earlier. The collectibles in this game are toy shuttles. So you have to find those laying around, and that's how you unlock extras and stuff. But anyway, getting back into what I was saying before I throw it back to Austin. Dude, I fucking lost my notes. I have no idea what the fuck I was saying. Anyway, it was something about Alien Isolation. I was going to tie it back in, but it's all right. I'll let you. Do you have any more questions for me, Austin? Before?
Yeah, like what's your favorite color? Let's really dive deep into this, man.
I like orange, man. I like orange.
No, I mean the kind of like the,
there
just
you go.
to wrap
there
up.
you go. I got it. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I'll go fuck myself real quick. Go ahead.
I got it. Okay, so the human element of the story didn't really work for me, and it's a first-person game that essentially continues getting bad in his neural links. Yeah, I need to get my Tesla cord reconnected, guys. Sorry, my wireless did not update. So the human element did not work, and it's a first-person game that does so much crying. Like there's quite a few scenes where the main character is crying, and I'm like, I don't know why, but just not a single moment was I.
So you just feel emotionally distant from the main
character,
like
yeah,
no connection.
And they do these they have these notes hidden like just all over the fucking place, and what they try to do, and again to their credit, they really do try to swing for the fences with some of these notes because they're these stories, right? Like it kind of reminds me of do you remember The Last of Us? There's that one cave that you go to, and if you just read all the notes in that cave, you get like this person's like life, almost like not life, but like their time through like the apocalypse. It kind of feels like that, but the difference here is that it happens so often that it's like how are these notes all over the place like this? And so it starts again. It's video game video gamified. So you start noticing these things, and there are cool things to read, but it just takes me out every single time. I'm like, okay, that's an interesting vignette that I got of this person's little diary, but I can't wait to read more about it. Potentially, halfway through this building or whatever. And so that's there is a point in the game where they even, I think, kind of wink at about how many notes there are, but I'm like, that doesn't make it any better. But just because you admit, because it's like I'm sure you love reading these notes as much as I love writing them. It's like, yeah, probably.
See, I applaud them for tackling this game because I think the environment works. Like it could be a very well done
Yeah.
horror game, but I don't think it should have been this type of game. I think it should have been closer to a Dead by Daylight type of situation where it's
You mean like
almost
a
match
predator
based
hunting grounds?
or a predator hunting grounds. Like I feel like it should have been like somewhat cooperatively. You don't have to have someone playing as the Death Angel or anything like that, but I feel like it should have been hop into this objective based like thing and we have to complete this in 3 hours or whatever. Like
Yeah.
and like it doesn't have to be a quick one and done thing that can be done in 15 minutes. Drag it out. But I think that should have been the experience is um and like having people like utilize in-game chat and stuff like that of like finding creative ways of communicating things that maybe aren't nonverbal and like I feel like that's where it would have really hit like the market it was trying to get. The problem with this and having a single player experience is that you can't really tell a story in a game where no one can really talk, so they have to do things like that make it very gamified and
Well,
you
and
just
so there is a cast. There's like 4 characters total, I think, that you really get a lot of quote unquote a lot of time with. But it's just, and because there are kind of safe places in the world that you can where people kind of live and stuff. At the start of the game, you're in this hospital that they've essentially fortified to be against the Death Angels. They kind of whisper and are very quiet to get around and stuff. And so they do have other characters that you do interact with. It's just, and there's also like interesting things of at one point, someone's in your ears as you're like on a walkie-talkie as you're going through something, and the way you communicate with them is by doing like one like tap once for yes and two for no, but like you ignore that dislike. But it's not like you don't actually do that. You know what I mean? It's automatically done by the game. I think maybe like a little bit more of that kind of interaction, like player agency, might have gone a long way there. But yeah, I mean, I actually think that for me, as a person who likes to play a lot of single player stuff, I do think that I like the single player like horror narrative driven experience of it. I just think that it doesn't. It really boils down to that it's not a significant story. Like it doesn't have. This is not a story that has importance in the world of A Quiet Place, right? Like again, I hate to keep comparing it to Alien Isolation, but I think it's kind of the direct point I've made. But that game, you play as Ripley's daughter, who's like trying to find her mom, right? And so it feels there's like some like direct connection and relation there that the game kind of picks up right after the movies. I didn't really feel that here, and I actually think that while I did like the ending, it could have actually been a little bit better if it ended like 30 seconds sooner, because I think it would have made it more like the movie, like in terms of how the first movie ended. But I also think that it's that plus being a bit too long without enough narrative payoff. Those two things for me were the drawbacks that held it back from being great. But while I am playing it, it was intense, and I can't deny that. And even though I wasn't emotionally invested, I was still kind of very, curious about how I was going to figure out each kind of environmental puzzle that the game was putting me in. So that's my thoughts on A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead from Stormmind Games, or Stormmind. Actually, there's no 2 M's, there's no space. Stormmind Games, who it was very interesting that we've actually covered their first game, Batora Lost. I think it's called Batora Lost Heaven, or the Lost Heaven, or the Lost Haven. I think that's what it is. We covered that 2 years ago on our website, and so you can read our preview thoughts on Batora over on RespawnStation.com. And soon you'll be able to read my hopefully more comprehensive and cohesive written review of A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead over there as well. So yeah, the dog is barking. The dog's chilling. He's got a lot to say about about A
I
Quiet
made sure to
Place.
mute that. Yeah. He would not survive.
You don't think so?
No,
Apparently,
no, he
go ahead. Go ahead.
he would not.
Apparently,
He would not.
chat
He's a
says I
martyr.
need Bane juice. In anime, Bane has this juice that gets him pumped into his brain to enhance him overall.
Oh,
It makes him
Venom. It's called Venom.
it's bigger and strong. Yeah, that's what he. That's yeah, yeah. It's actually not. It's not on his head, is it? It's on his back. I thought. I guess it was different.
Yeah. So it's obviously different renditions across.
Yeah, because in The
um,
Dark Knight, it's a mask.
yeah, it's a mask and it's like he's inhaling it.
Yeah.
In other ones, he's just doesn't have that at all. He's just a massive, big luchador.
Yes. Yeah.
And then like you have like the Arkham games where he does have
roided
like,
out.
Yeah, he has them. I think it's like injecting into his arms.
Yeah.
Whenever that inevitably, I think it's later in the first game is when you encounter that in Arkham Asylum.
Well, Austin, apart from A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead, I also completed Zombieland Headshot Fever. So I'm on a roll right now. It's actually not too bad. It was just beating the game and rolling credits was like you had to play through all the missions and compete in the big final event. And that one actually took me a few tries, but once I did get it, it was very, very satisfying. A nice little game that I could put a bow on. So I was happy to mark that as complete for the year. I
mean, you were really enjoying your time with the VR so far. It seems like.
Oh yeah, 100%. And so right now, I've cleared my schedule a little bit, like not my plate a little bit, which I can only do this for so long because I have to leave again soon and
right
disappear for a little bit. But while I am able to knock these games out, I did start earlier today Condemned Criminal Origins, which is of course our October episode of Retrograde is all about, or what the October episode is all about. And I'm only 2 chapters in, so take this as your warning, your alert, your reminder to check out the game for yourself and play, so you can tune in with us and go through the experience that way. Because I trust me, it's much better if you treat it as a video game club. And I think this one's going to be interesting.
Book club type thing where we all play, get thoughts together. Obviously, we'll be voicing our thoughts on the next Retrograde, but obviously you can join in the conversation by commenting or joining our Discord. You can join our Chumbag Discord and come in and have talks with us. You can join when we stream.
Yep, absolutely. With that, I do have like the Batman game installed that I'm like just itching to get to.
I haven't downloaded it yet.
Oh really?
I mean, it's $50. I didn't get. I got my VR helmet a few months ago, so I missed out on that promotion where you buy that and you get that for free. I got Wrath for free instead.
That was the other one. I have the second Asgard's Wrath, like Asgard's Wrath 2, and I also have that installed. And I don't know. Well, I do want to have another VR game going around in the background, but we'll see which one I end up actually getting to and picking. Well, there's my game spiel. Do you have anything else you're cooking, or do you want to get to the news?
So we can get on to the news. And the way I was gonna kind of transition it is we talk about Retrograde. We talked about even how I just went out and bought Dragon Age Origins.
Yep.
The reason we did that episode is because a new Dragon Age just came out. Dragon Age Veilguard.
Yes.
And it's kind of been like I've seen mixed reviews on it, kind of. Like I've seen some people praise it and then other people say it's just like average, and then I've seen a few people be like it's just not as good as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of that plays into this, but BioWare has come out and said that they have no plans for any DLC for Dragon Age, which is just odd to me, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I think think I don't necessarily think it's for the reviews. I've heard mixed things as well, but mostly I've heard it's pretty good in terms of delivering a kind of a typical BioWare RPG experience. Obviously, one that's more up to date and modern than Dragon Age Origins, which Nick and I have trudged through. But I honestly like the fact that they're making this single player game. You get the whole package because it's not like it's a small game. I think DLCs are more important when it's a shorter game where you're like, okay, let's bring them back. But big games, I don't necessarily think always need them. I don't know if Baldur's Gate has any DLC. I don't think
they don't. That team has completely moved on.
And that's kind of the same.
Talks of like they were going to add classes and stuff like that, but they were just like, nope, we don't want to do.
Yeah, and so like that same thing of this is Veilguard is a pretty chunky game, and you get the whole experience. You finish it. You don't. There's no kind of loose ends. I mean, look, in Origins, Dragon Age Origins, Nick and I talked about how it was outrageous that there's a vendor you run into in the game that is offering a quest line that is a DLC quest line. So if you interacted with this NPC, he would take you to the marketplace to buy the DLC. I'm like, what the fuck? You can't just have him in the world. Like, have him only appear if you buy the DLC or something. Anyway, so
so the official reasoning.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll let you finish for what you have here.
No. I was just saying I appreciate the fact that they are sticking with it, and obviously now they're moving on. Today is obviously Mass Effect Day.
Well, so that's actually what I was going to say. So the official reason as to what they said was the reasoning for no DLC was because they want to move full production into Mass Effect 5. And they told people like today's N7 day, which is the Mass Effect day.
Yeah.
And they were like, don't expect anything. They were like, Mass Effect 5 is nowhere close.
I think they said
but
like
what they did announce.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Was that Amazon has begun development on a Mass Effect TV show, and it has the writer of Fast and Furious.
Oh shit!
9.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
yep,
dude! I was just gonna say they probably announced like merch or something, like just hey, it's a new year, new merch type of thing.
Listen, they were like a dragon. That must be so good on Amazon.
Dude, honestly, I'm. It's crazy that Amazon is getting up just all these adaptations. Not even thinking about how many that Secret Level alone has. Just in general,
right.
Like Fallout and Rings of Power, and they're really leaning on these adaptations.
And they have God of War. That who knows what's happening.
Currently in development hell. We don't really know what that is or where that's going.
That's what I'm saying. But it is Amazon. Like that's still, as we know, is being held together at Amazon. Whether it's going to happen, not going to happen, either way, that is or is not happening with Amazon.
I will say, is Fast and Furious 9 the one that goes to space? Because that would be pretty apt.
It probably is.
He had a love for. We knew when we watched that sequence in Fast and Furious 9 that he had a knack for space. He had a love for space, and we wanted to bring him on for Mass Effect TV. Or was it? I guess there's no show. It's Mass Effect TV show. So.
Yeah, it's a Mass Effect TV show. We have no idea even if it's going to follow Shepard and his thing, or if it's just going to be set in the Mass Effect universe. I don't think there's any sort of details out there, but they have begun development, which that's pretty crazy to just throw out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
I'm sure they also have merch, by the way. I'm just saying.
I'm sure that there is like N7 2024 shirts or something.
I will say it's crazy how much Mass Effect is celebrated, considering that it's been so long since the last one, and the last one was not good. Like, not good. You know what I mean? Like,
I actually have an Andromeda somewhere. Like,
it is a testament.
Grabbable.
You just want to grab it by the Andromeda.
I can slowly, one by one, just grab each of my games. Yeah. Where is it? Oh, here it is. It's on the top of the bottom pile. Mass Effect Andromeda.
Look at that.
There. Bam.
Look at that. Well, okay.
Yeah, that game was a shit show.
Congratulations to BioWare, though. on the success on the successful launch of Dragon Age. Because even if ratings aside, the game's doing well.
I will say this, and I'll say it with my whole chest. I didn't think Anthem was that bad of a game. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, he's actually he's going to bring it up later this episode as a main topic, actually.
No, legitimately, I fuck with Anthem. I've thought about even going and buying a copy so I could play it on PlayStation, but I kind of fucked with it. I thought it was fun.
Well, shit.
Was it perfect? No. Was the story good? No. But it was kind of fun.
Was it a good game? No.
Was it worth $60? Absolutely not. So I paid $80 for it.
Of course. I think I paid $5.
It's not because it was worth more. Yeah, no, this game was being sold at Walmart's, and people were going and buying it because they wanted
the case.
Another PlayStation case.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's how you know you're the collector. You're the collector zone.
To be fair, though, we were at a point where Cyberpunk was the same fucking way.
That's true.
Cyberpunk was like $5 at one point.
Oh, and that's the thing. I was gonna say, I was going through my head about like all the the big games and stuff. I think that truthfully, I think that the big reason why the Cyberpunk 2077 had a DLC, the Phantom Liberty DLC, is because they wanted to bring people back because the launch was so rough. They're like, okay, we need to give people another reason to come back to the game because we've improved it enough and it's a much better experience. And they're like, Idris Elba, new DLC, and then you get the full package.
That's what I was going to say, is that a lot of people said that, like, Phantom Liberty, the DLC, but it felt like its own game.
Yeah.
Like, so people were like, this is kind of like just a sequel more than it is
Cyberpunk 2077.5
content. Yeah. So, I mean, good on them. I will always root for things to work out as they should and as they were planned. They had a vision, and that vision was not met when it first came out, and it disappointed a lot of people. And CD Projekt Red was like, you know what? Fuck all the haters. And then they came back and they made something worth playing. Did I like it? No. Is it as good as Anthem in my opinion? I'd play Anthem again. I probably wouldn't go back to Cyberpunk.
Wow, how fucking dare you? How fucking dare you?
No, truthfully, I did like Cyberpunk. It's just that like I didn't care about the story, which like that's kind of like the whole point of an RPG is how deep you can get into the story and everything, and I wasn't feeling it. I like the gameplay. I like the like driving mechanics and stuff like that. It all felt good, but I just didn't care about the story.
Well, I hate the driving in that game. I don't know if it's improved now, but it's like fucking skating on ice. Fucking driving.
Well, see, it kind of felt like Watch Dogs driving to me, which also is like that's not the best example of driving in video games ever. But I kind of liked it. I kind of liked Watch Dogs driving.
Dude, speaking of Watch Dogs, his segues are on point today. First of all, apparently the game's on sale for 85% off if you care about Watch Dogs 2. But I was on Twitch earlier today, and I saw, the Ubisoft is live playing Watch Dogs 2 to promote this sale. And so I clicked on it, and as soon as I tune in, it's one of the guys on the stream is explaining how cable cars work, and my mind was blown. I didn't know how cable cars work. Austin, do you know how cable cars work?
Don't they generate electricity or some shit as they
No.
drive?
So essentially, it's so there's three lines, right? Like so, on a cable car thing, there's a two kind of like train tracks almost, and then there's one in the center. So in that center is essentially a cable that just is constantly circulating, like it's just constantly moving. And what cable cars do is essentially they have a hook that goes like a little grappling thing that goes into that like middle section, between the tracks. And when it wants to go, it tightens its grip on that cable and it just gets pulled along by the cable. And when they want to slow down or stop, they just slowly release that grip or just let go of the grip and then it stops. So that cable is like, there's like giant things under the city that are like constantly running those cables around. Like it's just constantly moving.
Huh.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So
that's pretty interesting.
Shout out to.
I would not have expected to learn this.
I didn't either.
I didn't
either. Yeah. So shout out Ubisoft. For that's the only reason I've have given him a shout out for recently. So
yeah, they haven't done many things that are worth.
You take him where you get him.
recently.
You take him where you get him.
I mean, hey, who knows? NFTs can come back.
It's true. It's true. Check out last week's episode. If you check out 2 weeks episode, you'll find out that we talked about Nintendo's latest hardware. Well, speaking of Nintendo's latest hardware, Nintendo's Switch 2 will reportedly be backwards compatible.
Yeah, just blows my mind that we know nothing about the console, like nothing of like
which
details.
Should be out this time next year.
Yeah, so like the time frame was originally like, oh, we could see it like earlier this year. We were like, oh, we could totally see it by the end of the year.
Yeah,
and now it's, oh, we could totally see it by the end of next year.
Yeah,
it's still being like widely known as like Nintendo Switch 2. If I had to guess, Nintendo's probably not going to name it Switch 2. They're probably going to name it something weird. It'll probably have some sort of...
Nick and I had a whole fucking conversation about this. Because my mind
called
is
like the Nintendo Flip, and it's like,
see, I hope that they they go for like a crazy name again. Like the Nintendo.
I hope they don't. I hope the next system is called the Nintendo Home Station, and it's just a fucking normal console.
It's just a block. Well, I mean, that's a GameCube, I guess. Dude. It's a GameCube.
Yeah, the game. It could be called the Game Triangle. I don't give a fuck. I think I just want to stay home. I think I just want to stay home. This Nintendo Switch that's right in front of me, I don't think I've undocked it in maybe a year.
Austin wants the Nintendo lockdown. He wants the Nintendo
Dude,
lockdown.
If we could go back to lockdown, that'd be great. I love this so much. I gained a lot of weight, and that I didn't like.
You and me
I
both,
basically
buddy.
just lived off of like pizza and just like readily available stuff.
Yeah, it's like you get to eat whatever you want, and then you had an excuse not to work out because you couldn't really do anything. So
it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Until you got out and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What have I become?
You're like, what kind of fucking monster have I become?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just weird because we know nothing about the actual hardware itself. We don't know what it's going to look like, what features it's going to have. Is it going to be a Switch where it's that hybrid console of mobility plus home? Will it have removable Joy-Cons?
I honestly, I had two things that I was hoping for about the Nintendo Switch 2, which again, I'm going to say Nintendo Switch, the Pro, the new Nintendo Switch. That's what it's going to be called, actually. The new Nintendo Switch.
No,
capital N.
It's going to be called
capital N, new Nintendo Switch.
I'll think of something better.
But I had two things. One was, I hope that there's backwards compatibility in this thing, which we know that there is. It would be foolish for them to really not do that because of how many Nintendo Switch. It's the same thing about how it'd be weird if the PS5 didn't have PS4 backwards compatibility for how good best selling the PS4 was. But
but just think there was PS4s that didn't do PS3 backwards compatibility.
Yeah, but the PS3 did not sell well, and also like, it had a proprietary like reading system that fucking fucked over
Blu-ray.
Yeah, and so it was a whole So that I honestly I understand a little bit of why that didn't work out, but the second thing for the Nintendo Switch Pro, the new Nintendo Switch, sorry, is I hope it has compatibility with Nintendo Alarmo. I just hope that there's some sort of, you're playing Zelda Tears of the Wild and, you have to roll around in bed to collect coins. There's something, rupees, there's something there.
I really want to link up my Pokemon Sleep app with the new Pokemon game. And I just want to see the progress translate,
Exactly.
All these things. Like listen, I'm 28 years old now. For the first 27 years of my life, Nintendo was not a part of any of my sleep plans.
I want
why did it take so long?
I know,
Nintendo?
Right? Yeah, where's the sleep economy is just they really stepped out of it for a while. I can't wait for the Tempur-Pedic Nintendo collab to come out, or the purple Nintendo collab to come out. A Gengar bed. Can you imagine, Austin? Anyway, but let's not give him too many ideas.
Just so you know what I just did, I looked up synonyms for Switch.
Okay.
And so we're just going to try some of these out.
Okay. The Nintendo Oh wait, hold on here. I'll get you.
Button.
And here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the new Nintendo console, the sequel to the Switch, the Nintendo
Button.
Button. Oh my God, can you imagine?
That's the first one. I'm gonna pick out a few of them because
Okay.
there are a few here.
All right.
I only think like maybe 2 of them are actually good.
Okay. Oh, you're going to be giving?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna
The Nintendo
Swift.
That feels like a Swifty edition, you know, like a
Or
Taylor.
Shift actually is what it said, but I fucked it up, so I just went with
You fucked up Shift to Swift.
it was Shift.
Honestly, Shift sounds dope. Shift is cool. I do like Nintendo Shift. I don't know if they'd go for it. It sounded a little shifty, but I could see it. Nintendo Shift. Oh, it's Nintendo Shift, and something shifts on the display or something. You know.
So you go like this, like you flip the Joy-Cons up, and then it becomes like something crazy. Like it's like a transformer. You can basically drive this thing to work after you.
Yeah, you plug it into your Tesla. Okay. All right. Introducing the Nintendo
Diversion.
That's awful. That's terrible. Next one. The Nintendo
Control.
Wow. Well, speaking of control, Austin, did you know that the latest reports show that Remedy has almost recouped the development and marketing expenses for Alan Wake 2?
Dude.
Finally. It's crazy how long this game has taken.
It was a Game of the Year nominee.
Yes,
like that blows my mind.
But it's because unless I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the game was an Epic Games Store exclusive on PC, which is a huge
That's correct.
Huge negative. It also didn't get a physical release, and I know for a fact that a lot of people, including myself, and I think you. No, actually not you. Including myself.
I bought a copy, and then they were like, "Guess what?
Yeah,
physical."
Yeah, and the fact that it didn't have a physical impacted the decision of a lot of people as well. So I think that now that the deluxe edition is out, which is like I think like $70 or $80, and it comes with the two DLCs that have come out for the game so far. That I think that's a big reason for why it's finally kind of hit the market here. And also, they announced that Annapurna Interactive will be covering 50% of the cost for Control 2. Honestly, they're really busy over there at Remedy.
And if I remember correctly, the part of the agreement with Annapurna is that like Annapurna is gonna develop a TV series and throw their name on it for Control and Alan Wake.
Yes.
So it's kind of like they're investing in each other, which I love to see because we're in a world in which game companies can very easily just buy somebody and then throw them away, or do some shady shit and fuck the other people over, and then they get thrown away, and a lot of people lose their jobs.
Speaking of buying something and throwing it away, there's no one better than Warner Brothers, Austin. Like that grab IPs and fucking entire movies, completed movies, and toss them in the bin.
Warner Brothers, it actually just came out today. Multiverses.
Yeah.
Lost $100 million.
Oh my God.
And that was on top of reported $200 million that they already lost completely separate. Jeez. So like Warner Brothers has a fucking talent for just losing fucking money.
Well,
and by the way, if the people at home, the peek behind the curtain, that was not the fucking headline that I had written down in our news.
No, that was not.
So
the headline was that I think honestly this is a big news for the potheads out there, like Alexa, because Hogwarts Legacy.
Huge pothead.
What?
Said yep, she's a huge
pothead. Yeah, that's well known. Hogwarts Legacy is getting a sequel, and the sequel will have I don't want to. They'll be working with Warner Brothers to kind of tie in, I guess, certain things with the Harry Potter TV series that they're doing for HBO Max. Look, I couldn't care less about Harry Potter, to be honest. There's some.
I really enjoyed
Hogwarts Legacy. But I have heard like that's the only reason why Hogwarts Legacy is on my backlog, is because I just like the RPG part of it looks really cool, and Again, I don't know how much it lives up to like the idea of like there's the fantasy of just being a student at Hogwarts. But
it does that well.
okay,
The story itself sucks ass. Like I
it's fair.
honestly, not to spoil anything, but there's a side story that happens with one of the Slytherin students that you encounter. That is arguably a much better storyline than the actual main storyline, because just like every other fucking like I don't really like Harry Potter that much either, and I was even on the fence kind of even buying Hogwarts Legacy, but when it got closer I was like, I kind of think it's gonna be cool.
You went for
and
it.
then I played the shit out of it. I
Yeah.
put like 110 hours into that game, and I
Yeah.
really went to go try to platinum it. It was just that it was at a bad time where like God of War Ragnarok I also had on my backlog. I had Diablo, I think, was around the time I like was getting around to like platinuming Hogwarts. Jedi Survivor, like there was just so many games that came out that year that it was just like, all right, I need to just move off of this game. But I enjoyed it. The gameplay itself is fucking phenomenal, and I highly recommend to anyone go play Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah. Well, with that, the last news on the list for today is kind of an interesting one. It's essentially the lead director for, or the creative director for Marvel's Wolverine from Insomniac has just left to work on Perfect Dark over on Xbox. He's flipped to the green side.
Exclusives to the other.
So now the new creative director is Marcus Smith, whose last project was Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, a game I've heard good things about. I actually haven't really played any of the new Ratchet & Clank games. They've also been on my backlog. Maybe we'll get to it in the retrograde eventually. One of those games.
You did start.
I did start. Yeah,
the first Ratchet & Clank.
Yes,
on stream a while back.
Like 3 years ago.
Yeah. No, it's been a while. It was before Rift Apart came out, I think.
Yes, because we were like, let's get ready for Rift Apart, and I played it for one stream, and I just never got ready. I never got ready. But no, honestly, I still think it's in good hands, and I'm really curious about Perfect Dark, because that last teaser we've got, the last show at the last Xbox show,
so good.
It looked really cool.
So
and
good.
So I don't know how far along the game is in terms of like readiness, but yeah, I mean, Insomniac has top talent, so anyone going from Insomniac is a good sign.
There's nothing that tells me that the Wolverine or even the Blade game
will be in trouble.
Is going to be bad.
Yeah, or that they're in any trouble.
I just have so much confidence of their handle of like what people want in a Marvel game. And I'm just like,
and it's honestly really impressive that Insomniac so consistently nails that. There's a few developers I think that are constantly under so much pressure, and that they always continue to deliver. But I suppose all that comes down to track record, and that track record, well, it's in their history. It's in and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. The main topic of the show.
I have an Insomniac game.
Listen, I have insomnia, okay, and I'm excited to stay up all night to talk about the games that made us. These are the games that had some sort of an impact on our lives, that they stuck with us long after the credits rolled. I think it'll be interesting, Austin. I don't know if we can necessarily frame every single game like this, but certain games, not just in terms of like, hey, I played this and I thought it was cool, but how it actually changed something for you. You know what I mean? I think that's the games that we're really going to try to like talk about and address here.
Yeah, the way I thought about, like, because we just threw down a couple of the games. Obviously, this is not all inclusive. There's a lot of games I can be putting on this list, and we could be here for hours.
Exactly.
But I was like, what are the games that, like, when I think back of like periods of my life, that I'm like, that was a part of it,
Yeah.
And all of these games that I have written down here are very crucial for one thing or another.
So I think we'll go back and forth. And, we don't have to necessarily do this linearly in terms of, like, oh, this is the youngest memory, and then we gotta work towards the current one. I'm gonna attempt to do that, but I'm not gonna succeed. I'll jump around because that's
neither will I.
Yeah.
I know probably the beginning, and then
Right.
Anything after that is kind of just all jumbled.
Yeah. So, well, Austin, I think I'll let you do the honors here to start us off. What was the first game that you think? And if you want to start the first one chronologically, what was the oldest?
Yeah. No, so I'm gonna go back to the start. You know,
Imagine imagine the spinning black and white circle.
Yeah, so yeah, where it all began was I have an older brother who for all, not to get super sentimental here on a video game podcast, but for all inclusive purposes, for one reason or another, I view as a father figure to me. And
Right.
growing up, he's not even that much older than me. I don't know. I don't really know his age because that's
He's ageless.
Yeah, he's older. So we had a video game console growing up, and I remember picking up the very iconic Nintendo 64 controller. And I remember going over and picking up Super Mario 64. And this game is just like super ingrained into my soul. I love Mario as a franchise, especially the ones where it's more free roam and yeah, it's just Mario. Like, so even more recently, like Mario Odyssey is still one of my favorite games that I've played.
Yeah.
Probably in the last 7 years. Probably is when it came out, right? No. Math?
7. No. Yeah. 7. 8. 7, 8 years.
Super Mario Odyssey came out. Yeah, fucking Christ. Almost 7 years to the dot.
7
October
years?
27th, 2017.
Wow, damn. Damn.
Fucking old, dude. But yeah, no, just those games. I mean, everything about it. Like I can still hear the Bowser sounds. I can still hear the music. I can still like even see the pixels of everything, and just like it was just so important that I played this game.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember being great at it, obviously, as a young child, but going back to it as an adult and trying to hold a Nintendo 64 controller, I don't know how I used to even competently play video games on this controller, because like I hold it like a dumbass now, and like I feel like there's just like I kind of feel like the oldest old person ever, but it's like the Nintendo 64 as a console is like where it all started for me, and Super Mario 64 is the birth of me as a gamer.
Yeah, for me it's also Nintendo, and I think it's the same for a lot of people. But and I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast. I probably have, so I'm not going to go super in depth into it, because at the very least I've mentioned it on stream and stuff. But for me, the big gaming decision of my life, the first big gaming decision of my life, was getting the Nintendo DS and getting to pick what game I wanted with it. Up until that point, I'd played, like browser games. I just forgot the name, but there used to be, I guess there's a little mini, like an honorable mention, perhaps.
Like a Bloons Tower Defense or something.
No,
like that.
Okay, yeah, well, that also, yeah. Shout out Bloons Tower Defense. On Cartoon Network. There was a Teen Titans, I think it's called like Battle Siege or Siege.
Oh, yeah. Where it was
Blitz.
like a fighting game.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I
dude,
played the crap out of that game.
I used to go to the library after school.
Yeah, exactly. That's the prime place to play Cartoon Network games.
Yeah, dude. I agree.
And so
I wasn't even thinking like Flash games, but 100% like mini clips.
And so those were what I was playing before that. And so then Nintendo DS was my first console. It was a big decision, and I remembered that the choice itself for what console I wanted was simple. It was a black Nintendo DS. But then I was left with the choice of Diamond and Pearl, Pokemon Diamond or Pokemon Pearl. And it was huge, because like I remember holding both, like one in each hand, right? And I think most kids who are like now gamers probably had a similar situation.
Yeah.
where
I listen.
you know,
I made this exact choice, and I remember this exact moment as well of
and
me and my cousin going, "Who's getting pearl? Who's getting diamond?"
yeah, and I held them in my hands, and you know, I remembered at the time, like I had recently found out that the birth stone for my birth month, which is June, was pearl. So I was like, you know what, pearl it is, and there it is. I absolutely loved that game. It's so interesting because, you know, I've Austin pitched this topic, right? And so I've been thinking about it kind of throughout the day, just like, you know, what do I want to mention? And I remember, like, similar to what Austin was saying about how, you know, he remembers playing Mario and stuff. Like there is a sort of wonder that I had when I played Pokemon Pearl. I remember, like, I've always had this thing, and Austin probably, you know, having lived with me, Austin knows that, like, I like to be in the dark when I'm, like, experiencing media, you know, be it like a movie or playing a game. I always turn the lights off. I'll also try to make a move on Austin constantly, but, you know, he just never got anywhere.
I always said I wanted to see him do it. You know? So I tried turning on the lights. He gets freaked out.
Yep. And so I remember staying in the closet, like, you know, like going into my closet and closing the door, and like.
Well, this statement followed by the last statement is really throwing viewers.
I'm not gonna explain it any further. But no, I just like that stuff. Was so. Like I have, like, it's a like a core memory, you know. I think that's what that word is, a core memory. I think that's one.
Yeah. I mean, listen, everyone, like, it's literally a meme of just like the DS under the control, like under your pillow, you know?
Yeah.
Of like, I have to pretend to be asleep.
And I've done that so many, you know, I did that so often.
Oh, every gamer has.
Yeah.
Every gamer.
And you know what? Actually, because, you know, we'll do a snake draft here, because I think.
I was thinking the same thing. Let's do it.
Because, you know, speaking of a core memory about video games, the next one is actually another portable console. Austin, do you know what it is? Do you want to guess?
Another portable console?
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's not on your list.
It is not. It is not. Emphasis on portable.
Okay. Ooh, emphasis on portable. Oh, well, it's PlayStation Portable, obviously.
Yeah, that's the one.
Let's see. What? Oh, is it is it like Killzone or something?
No, it's Need for Speed Most Wanted.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I remember so I had this little MP3 player, and I had like a few songs on it, and, you know, I'd put it on the windowsill, right? I'd open the window to my bedroom. I'd sit right in front of it with my PSP in my hands, and we were on the third floor, so like we'd catch the breeze, and so as I'm playing the game, I would feel the wind on my face, and I was like, oh, I'm going at the speed, you know, like it felt like it was more realistic. And I had this, like, you know, the MP3 player propped up, so I could like play music. And, you know, I literally didn't listen to the Most Wanted soundtrack too much, because I was creating my own soundtrack for it. But yeah, that's another absolutely, like, pivotal core memory for me of playing Most Wanted. And it's like Most Wanted something. It's like there's like numbers after it. I forget what it is, because it's like a PSP edition or whatever. But yeah, it was so much fun, and I love the PSP. It is so crazy. I think the PSP, a lot of it is like ahead of its curve, or ahead of its time. Like the PSP Go being like all digital and stuff like that. That was crazy.
Yeah, that's literally.
Why would you do that so far back? But now it's the norm. But anyway,
it's the norm. Yeah.
Yeah, I digress. I mean,
I even think the PS Vita was ahead of its time, because like now I think people 100%. Appreciate it for what it is, but like back then people were like, "Fuck this console."
Yeah.
So it's just very weird how much we're just like unappreciative of it in the moment. And I guess that's kind of like
the games we're talking about.
Part of this too. Yeah. I'm just like, sometimes we don't appreciate, you know, and being in the good moments.
And really, it's like, you know, when we think about Pokemon, right? Like I enjoyed
I
Pokemon so unabashed, like in terms of like, now when I
agreed.
play it, I'm like, oh, yeah, you're just sending a kid out into the world. Yeah, okay. Like there's like some part of me that's like that, but like I didn't have that like for me, because I was that age. I was the age that those kids were in the game, right? So I was like, I'm hitting the town, boys. Like it was like I didn't have that rational thought at all, or like holding me
I mean,
back.
we're also at a point now to where like I can't play a new Pokemon game because I'm like, who the fuck is this Pokemon?
Yeah, yeah,
I
literally,
like
who's that
legitimate.
Pokemon? Literally,
Yeah, no. It's not like who's that Pokemon? It's like, who the fuck are you and why do I care? Like, just give me Pikachu. Like
yeah,
so like it is like kind of like an old gamer versus new gamer type of mentality of just like, yeah, I kind of stopped around Diamond and Pearl
yeah.
and I don't really know any of the new Pokemon. Like I played, Sword and Shield. I played fuck, what were
Violet, Scarlet Violet.
I actually didn't play Scarlet
Oh,
and Violet.
Arceus,
I
Legends
I played
Arceus.
Arceus. This is what I was thinking of. But yeah, so it's just very weird now because I'm just like I have to learn shit and I don't feel like learning shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
There's also the reason why I
so it's
don't
just like
open up as many packs, because like I have the cards. I don't know what the Pokemon is.
yeah, but the cards, the same thing of like with the games. The cards that mean something to me are too fucking expensive
Expensive to,
now.
yeah,
So like I am just without those memories. Like whatever happened to my cards that got thrown away X amount of years ago, they're just gone. Like I just have to try to find small glimpses of my childhood, just out and about,
yeah,
and hope I can get a good price on them.
yeah. All right, it's your turn. What do you got for me?
So I'm gonna stick with Nintendo 64, and
Okay.
I'm gonna reference a time where I got hit by a car, and I was in a full leg cast, and I still have scars on my leg for
Yeah.
this exact incident. Uh, this was like the solidifying, like I am going to be a video game player for the rest of my life. Because that's all I had. Um we had a Dreamcast that I did play a little bit during this time, which is just kind of like a fun little tidbit. But the main thing that I feel like was like my first accomplishment as a gamer is I so we had like a little TV that we would roll around, and I legitimately couldn't walk. Like I couldn't even go to school because my school wasn't like handicap accessible at the time. So like I had my teacher come in her off hours and homeschool me. And like yeah, like it was a crazy ordeal. And the only thing I had was video games. So I beat Zelda Ocarina of Time by myself. And this was like my accomplishment as a I think I got hit by a car when I was like 8. And I just like that's like the solidifying like hell yeah moment for me. And so like Zelda franchise in general, they got a fan for life. Yeah. I was lucky to grow up with the good ones too. Like
Sorry, I was briefly muted there for the audience. Austin could hear
nice,
me.
nice.
Austin could hear
I
me.
could hear him.
But what I was saying was, it really is about the games that you grew up with. And so there's a few games that I played initially that I was not hot on, like I didn't like, and then I went back to them, and I'm like, now this was the time for me to play it. Like this is the time in my life where I need to experience this. Now go ahead.
Yeah,
What's
you
your
somehow just kind of you fall into the right time
yeah
for video games sometimes. And
yeah
sometimes a game resonates with you, other times it doesn't. Sometimes you're in a mood for a shooter, sometimes you're in a mood for a stabber.
exactly. That's what they say. That's what they
Yeah,
say.
the shooter or stabber games. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, the stabbing genre is just is coming up soon.
Or for my next one,
Yeah.
I'll paint a picture because
Okay.
this is one of the hype ass moments of my childhood as well.
Okay.
So
I'm
it's a
sitting back.
young
I'm closing my eyes.
okay. The excitement's in the air. I'm about 9, 10 years old. And, it's a nice, cool winter morning. I'm awake at the crack of dawn because it's Christmas, baby. And I'm excited. I smell all the presents. Santa has eaten the cookies. The milk has been drank. But no one else is awake. So I'm like, everybody get the fuck up because Santa came, baby. And so everyone comes downstairs. They file in. And then my mom does the, like, oh, what's Santa bring? And so we sit there. We go through all these presents. And obviously, my mom knows which presents are which. So she saves one present for last. And me and my brother's names are written on this present. We open that bad boy up, and what do we find? A Sony PlayStation 2. And the game that accompanied this, and this was the only game we had at the time, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. And Tony Hawk, I mean, it goes without saying, it's just like, Tony Hawk Pro Skater ruled for like a generation. And like, it's just wild even thinking about it. Of like, yes, we have, Madden. Yes, we have NBA. Yes, we have NHL. Yes, we have all these other sports games. But like, who at the time, would have really ever thought a skateboarding game would have been this thing that to this day is standing the test of time. And
people
when
love
they
the Tony Hawk
those
Pro
games,
Skater.
Just look at it. Like when they re-released those games, everyone flocked to it. They were like, "Holy shit, this is my childhood." These songs that are on this playlist forever are going to just be associated with that same kind of feeling as like, this is my childhood. This is like it excited like a whole new a whole new era of potential skateboarders. A whole different genre opened up for gamers. It was just like this weird thing at the time of like even like I had Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 for the Nintendo 64, super iconic yellow cartridge. But like this memory specifically, because like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, I remember after playing it for a little bit, you can unlock like Boba Fett as like one of the playable characters, and like
Really?
all this other
Damn.
stuff. Yeah. It's super goofy shit, and that's kind of like the beauty of Tony Hawk is that it takes itself seriously as like the skateboarding and everything can be done.
Right.
And it's very true to it. It falls. It kind of shows everything, and like you respawn and stuff like that because it's a video game. But like it also like has this part of it to where it doesn't take itself seriously at all. So it's like this perfect blend of like living out like a potentially like dangerous kind of sport of skateboarding and doing crazier things of like breaking through windows and jumping up all the like these flights of stairs, or jumping off these flights of stairs, or jumping off this building, or like all these crazy things,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've never been as excited in my memory for a gift than that. Like I remember opening that and just like legitimately like jaw dropping, forgetting everything else, and me and him hooking it up and immediately playing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tony Hawk, obviously, will always be a fan.
That is, see, that's also, I mean, from the way you described it, Lynn, I think that's a core memory. That's something that's like,
oh, for sure,
you could just like,
for sure.
Feel the PS2, back to.
The PS2 is still probably my favorite console of all time.
That's fair. I mean, it is. Like is it not the best-selling console, or is it one of the best? Is it
not anymore?
Top three, at least. Top three, I'd imagine.
Yeah, the I think the PS4, PS5 outsold it for sure.
Not overall. The PS5 is not outsold. The PS4, I think, has.
Or maybe it is the PS4.
People, first 2 years of PS5, people couldn't find that that damn console on shelves. So all right, while Austin's doing the research on that,
yeah, you're up for 2 here.
Yes, there's. I wanted to see where I wanted to take this conversation, and I think really, there's there was a phase in my life that was like Nintendo was everything. And so I'm going to say this, briefly as an honorable mention because it's the next. It's going to transition me into. I'm not going to talk about Nintendo again for a bit. So,
Okay, just to interrupt real quick. So it looks like as of the last numbers, which I don't think that these are correct. It says the last.
always good to
numbers
say
was
that right before you
August
say
7th.
it, announce it.
No. So PlayStation 2 is number 1.
Okay.
Nintendo Switches to PS4
It's
is
3.
3.
Okay.
Okay, no. Okay, no, I agree with this. And then PS5 is right below that.
Oh, okay. So I mean, crazy. No, Xbox is on there, man.
No, Xbox I don't even think cracked like the top 7.
Jeez. Okay. Well, okay. The honorable mention before we get to the actual my next big one is Wii Sports, another like game that it's a few times. It's actually the only time in my life where my parents also played a video game with me, and so it was a crazy experience. That like Wii bowling and Wii tennis. It was just like a thing we did together as a family. And so yeah, what Nintendo was able to do with the Wii, and I think for a certain kind of a certain time period, that time frame, the Wii was just everywhere. Like everyone, it was like
it's the fucking.
It's like a coffee table. Like everyone just had one.
5th highest selling console of all time. And this game that you're describing came with every single console.
Yes, exactly. And so yeah, Wii Sports. I played so much Wii Sports, and so that's an honorable mention. But after
we actually just played it. We played this in the apartment every fucking day almost.
We did play a lot of Wii Sports. And we did. So okay. My next real one though is actually transitioning to the PlayStation 3 because I had I went over to a friend's house who had a PlayStation 3. At the time, I only had a DS and a Wii, and I think I think I had a PSP, or maybe I did. Either way, it is relevant to the point. I remember him inviting me over, and we played Fallout New Vegas, and I was like, you can do this in a video game. Like you can just it's an open world, but it's not just like, you're not looking down at them like Pokemon. It's different. And so, of course, I eventually, after lots of nagging, convinced my parents to get me a PlayStation 3. And the first game that I got was actually packaged in with the PlayStation 3. I could not convince them to buy me a game on top of that. So I got the game that was bundled in. And that game was Call of Duty Black Ops 1. And that game, I think this is part of it. It kind of sounds like it's Stockholm Syndrome, but I think that, in terms of it's the only game I had on the PlayStation 3 for a few weeks, and until I was able to save up enough money or something.
I mean, granted, people that didn't only have Black Ops 1, that was the only game they played for a couple of
weeks. Yes. But I played so much Black Ops. I played the campaign over and over again. I played the zombies, and I played the multiplayer mostly. I just sucked me in, and I think that it was built itself because then Modern Warfare 3. I remember being like, I was actually excited for the launch of Modern Warfare 3, and then Black Ops 2. I was like, this is the best game. This is incredible. And yeah, but Black Ops 1, I just remember playing so much. So that's the next one. That's the big one. Call of Duty Black Ops 1.
I mean, and let's take a moment to sit there and pause and just give a moment of silence to midnight releases.
Yeah, absolutely, right? That's actually the tragedy of this for me.
Suri.
Oh, sorry.
A moment of silence.
So the real tragedy of this is that I didn't really get to experience midnight releases when I was a kid because I have Indian parents, and the idea of staying up until midnight to go pick up a game was outlandish.
That's fair. To be honest, that's fair. It is fair.
But I always wanted to do one, and I remember when I worked at GameStop, they didn't do. They were just finishing. They stopped doing them. But the few midnight launches they had, I didn't. My store did not do because I was in a mall, and the mall closed early because you couldn't keep the mall open until midnight. So yeah, it was never enjoyed a midnight release. That's still my goal. Hopefully they do some midnight release I can attend sometime soon.
Listen, if there's another midnight release, I'll be there with you, Suri. That's the promise.
So okay, so my second game in the pick here is you'd think it'd be Fallout, but it's not. It's actually a game called Resistance: Fall of Man. These games, by the time I got to them, were like a few dollars. You know, they're very cheap. So for me, it was still like a long process. I had to like go get one and then the other, and then like save up for like the third one a friend gave to me as a gift. But boom, there it is. I actually have.
Boom.
I don't know if I have I should. I honestly,
me
my
and Sri actually just picked this up at a video game conference that we were at.
Hell yeah. And yeah, I convinced him to get it because I love Resistance: Fall of Man. And honestly,
I have all three of
and
them
I'm glad
right
Austin showed the cover because I remember I wasn't able to just flaunt it on the shelf because it's a skeleton. It's an alien skeleton,
Yeah.
but it's still
Also,
a skull.
Insomniac.
Yes, Insomniac. And for me, this is Insomniac for me. It's not Spider-Man. I know I love Spider-Man, but what they did here with the story, the trilogy is honestly like so interesting that I find that the whole narrative, considering what it is, it's a first-person shooter where you're fighting aliens in an alien invasion. It doesn't sound like there's room for a lot of crazy ideas, but I really do love the narrative story. If you play it, I really do think it's not just a commitment of one game. You have to play 1, 2, and at least experience 3 so that you understand the like to describe it briefly. And again, I it's one of those things. I wish I could experience this again as an adult for the first time, because the first game gives you the idea of, okay, it's it's an alien invasion and you're in Europe and you're fighting the alien invasion. It then in Resistance 2, it builds on that, pushes that narrative forward, and then it ends on a crazy note. I think so Resistance 2 ends on a crazy note, and then Resistance 3 picks up on a crazier note, in my opinion, of that, and is also like the most immersive game in the whole lot, and it really holds up well, I think. But Resistance: Fall of Man does not so much. But you have to bear through the pain to get through to some of the other ones. But yeah, I absolutely love those.
I mean, Insomniac, just thinking back on it, like they played such a huge part in my childhood. With Jak and Daxter. They were also originally Crash, right? Crash Bandicoot?
That was Naughty Dog, I thought.
Oh, you're right. It's Naughty Dog. They did another that I'm blanking on. Insomniac. Not Insomnia Cookies.
Spyro? No. No, Spyro's
That's what I was gonna say. I think they did another.
Is it Spyro?
It might be Spyro, but now I'm second guessing my whole life. I mean, Jak and Daxter still. It was already on my list. Of like games. It is Spyro. Okay.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
Because yeah, I almost put Spyro and Crash on there as well. But yeah, I mean, obviously huge parts of my life. So yeah, I mean, we're getting kind of late in the podcast, so I say, what do you think? One more each, 2 more each, and then we kind of just, if we have any honorable mentions, throw them out.
Let's do it. Right. So you finish and I'll finish, and then that's it.
All right, and then so which one do I want to put? Okay, it has to be this game.
Sorry, no, I'll let you do 2. I'll let you do 2. So you have 1.
No, I want 1.
Okay.
I just want 1, and then I'll run down a few of my honorable mentions after.
Sure.
Or I'll do my honorable mentions now. I mean, games that I had on this list, RuneScape, obviously, like
a game I never got into personally, but yeah, I've
Club Penguin, huge door in my childhood. Something I'll never forget. The street games, so the NFL and NBA Street. I didn't really ever play FIFA Street, but obviously it was all part of that franchise. But NFL and NBA Street, absolutely love those. Borderlands, very sad.
Really, that's not the game you're gonna save for last.
It's not gonna be the game I save for last.
Wow. Okay.
Left 4 Dead, another game franchise that I played a lot of, but my last game I have to bring. This game helped me solidify real life friendships for the rest of my life. This game has not only like a feeling, a moment, that like memory, or memories, I should say. It has a taste as well, and it's Halo 3.
Mountain
Halo
Dew and
3,
Doritos.
Mountain Dew and Doritos, but not only just Mountain Dew, specifically Game Fuel. I
Game
remember.
Fuel. Oh shit.
So the game Halo 3 came out roughly around my birthday while I was in elementary school. It came out September 25th, so a month before my birthday in 2007. I remember asking if I can have this game, and I just so happened to get it. I didn't know, like I knew people in my class because I've gone to that school at the time for a while, but I never talked to this one guy. And just so happened to hear him talking about Halo 3, and I was like, dude, I literally have it waiting for me at the house. I can't wait to go back. I remember him writing his gamer tag on a piece of paper, and he's like, oh, add me. We can run through the campaign together, you know? And not only did I get introduced to that friend, I got introduced to my lifelong friend. Well, not really introduced, but like I created a bond with my lifelong best friend who goes by the same name, Austin, as well.
You say he goes by the same name as if his name is something else, and he's like, "Oh, I just go by Austin," but
yeah,
my
he
name's
just
Derek.
goes by it. Yeah. His real name is Derek. So I remember literally this exact sequence of things happening. So me and my friend Rob at the time, we were walking back from school. He was like, "I'm gonna go to your house. We're gonna play split screen." And I was like, "All right, that's cool." So we stopped at. I grew up in South Philly, so everybody knows everybody. There was a corner store named Bob's, and it was just because the owner's name was Bob. We walk in there and we say like, "Oh, hey, what's up?"
Sure, his name
Whatever.
wasn't Austin.
He might have gone by Austin.
Yeah.
But so we go in there and we're talking about the game, all this other stuff, and he's like, "Oh, it's actually funny you mentioned Halo of all things, because like we just got this new drink in that like is like sponsored by Halo or whatever." So he's like, "I'll just give you guys one, and you guys go have a good rest of your night or whatever." And
He just gave you a free one?
Yeah. Literally every morning I would go. Every morning and afternoon I would almost go to this corner store.
I see.
Because we would get like $1 in quarters going to school, because we would get like pretzels and stuff at lunch.
Right.
But that $1 would end up turning into he had vending machines that you can get stickers or Pokemon cards from. So I would do that. Like I would go in and put like 4 quarters in, then you press it in, and then press it out, and then it comes out with something.
Nice. Money well spent.
So yeah, that's the type of stuff we would get into. So, yeah, we had Game Fuel, and then that became like my obsession as I was playing Halo 3. I was like, this is what I'm meant to be doing right now, is drinking this and playing this game with my friends. And yeah, so everything from the campaign that I've beaten thousands of times, to the custom game modes that I've played, to the hundreds of hours I put into the multiplayer. It's the game that if I was like, damn, if I could relive those moments, it would be that. It would be Halo 3, online custom game lobbies, hanging out with the friends until we get yelled at to get off. And yeah, it's tugging at my heartstrings just even thinking about those moments, because we're all old now, and
it's true. No, I can actually, like, I know you for a long time. That's probably the most like sincere you've been about games I think I've ever heard you say.
It's just the truth, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and listen, it's even weird because every now and again I'll see a Game Fuel, because like it's like a more accessible flavor.
Yeah.
Like they'll put it out more frequently now. It doesn't taste the same.
They never do. Probably because they also change the ingredients, but
they
it'll
probably
also
put
never
things that are like less illegal.
it'll never
It's
still
probably
be the same.
awful for me, but I drank like fucking like 4 cases of that shit when it came out.
That's how you got to do it, man. That's how you got to do it.
Yeah, that's how you got to do it. But yeah, Halo 3, shout out. Also very disappointed with Halo Infinite. Just quick hitter. Fuck that game. I don't really like it that much.
Wow, we were going towards such emotional depth, and then we gotta give a little.
You gotta undercut it.
Yeah.
You can't let people think I'm a big softie. You gotta undercut it with a joke or something.
Well, so for me, I think that there was a period of time where, because I can really group some of the games that I have in my head about like there were pivotal games for me, I can group into certain categories, and the one big category is games that made me feel like they were in a world. And this was Assassin's Creed 1 was huge because I was like, wait, this is like a whole city I can explore, but I can like parkour around. Like that sounded so cool to me. And then I remember playing Far Cry 2 and being in first person. That was also mind-blowing to me. Like being in first person and driving around this whole big map, and the idea that I could just get into a car and then start driving the car. I remember like showing like my parents that. I was like, do you see this? I'm driving in the game. And so like, yeah, like there's that. Fallout and is another one, again open world first person, but it was like a much more of an RPG than the other one. Infamous, for similar reasons to Assassin's Creed. Infamous 1 and 2 are both like Infamous 2 is actually surprisingly a game that made me cry. It's one of the few games that has ever made me cry, and I always remember I'm like, Infamous 2, that's the one. Like, and I'm curious to one day return to Infamous 2 and be like, does it still do anything, or is it, I don't know, it was a different
different mindset, different feeling.
Yeah.
Different level of emotional maturity.
Yeah. And last honorable mention before I say my big final one is, and it's going to be very anticlimactic, but I'd like to have a certain level of honesty. There is a core memory I have that I'm not going to share with you, but around Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, I think that's what it's called. It's a long name.
Oh yeah, the side scrolling.
Yes,
one?
yeah,
yeah.
There is like such visceral memories where I have around that game. Again, that's just for me to know and you to not find out. But that's another one that like really kind of came to mind as I was thinking through them. But the game that that kept returning to the top of my mind as I thought about games that made us is similar to how it worked out for Austin in terms of the game came out on his birthday. This one came out about like a week before my birthday, and I remember getting it as a birthday present, as an early birthday present, and I still have the receipt for the game inside the case for the game, and that is The Last of Us. That game completely changed the way I looked at video games as storytelling devices. I'm a big movie guy, and I've watched all ranges of movies, but up until The Last of Us game, I never thought about games in that way. It's not the fact that it got me emotional, let alone the fact that it got me emotional in the first like 15-20 minutes of the game, but again, games
the opening of that game is still one of the most horrific things in the world.
Yeah, and so like that experience aside, there's so much in the way that the game is crafted, the way the narrative folds, and I think maybe just recently playing A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead, and then constantly kind of thinking about The Last of Us just by like default, with the clicking monster and the post-apocalyptic world and the stealth and everything. I was just I couldn't help but think, I'm like, the emotional depth that I felt playing that game and the way that it made me feel, and part 2 as well, but like the first one so much strongly, or so much more strongly. I will never forget The Last of Us, and finishing The Last of Us and sitting those moments of like sitting on that black screen and then cutting to credits. And similar to like, actually, I'll say like part 2. I finished part 2, and I'm not joking. I was, for an hour straight after I finished part 2, I just laid there thinking about the game. And I remember like laying back. I had, again, I just rolled credits. I had laid back, and I was staring at the ceiling, and I could see on the ceiling the lights of the credits roll by, like as the credits rolled. And I remember just staring at that, and for so long, just thinking about the game, and yeah, the whole experience. So those are our core memories around games, the games that made us the gamers we are today. I think, we've come a long way, Austin, you and I. And I think
very,
and
very far.
As much as it is like we've gotten older, and I think this is what this show has really kind of reminded me of, like doing this whole episode with you, is that we're now in a place. I find that we're now in a place where we could afford the games that we wanted to play so easily. We couldn't go out day one and say, "Oh, I'm going to pick up this game right now." We can do that now, but the cost of that luxury is that we can no longer enjoy the games that we buy.
I agree. I agree. You know how many games I have in my backlog right now? Because I'm like, oh, like I really want to buy this, or oh, I really wanted to play this like 10 years ago. And it just created like that situation of yeah. And like it's almost like how like when you cook food, it always just doesn't taste as good as if someone else made it for you, you know?
Yeah.
Really like a sandwich that wasn't made by me.
But I will say, to end the episode, a final note, perhaps maybe to lift the mood a little bit. While everything I said is true, I do believe that while we can't afford these games now, it's at the expense of not enjoying the games as much, or at all if you can't get around to playing it.
There's a trade-off. Yeah, 100%.
I also think that, like I was saying earlier, the certain games come out at the right time in your life, or that you reach certain games at the right time in your life. I kind of mentioned it briefly, but like Fallout 3, I initially played and I absolutely did not like that game at all. And I gave it a few years and I went back to it and I was blown away. I was like, how did I hate this game? I absolutely loved it. Like it was incredible to me. And just like that, your the next favorite game you have, the next best experience you have, the next core memory that you'll look back on is yet to happen. It's just out there. Your favorite game might already be out and you might not have played it yet. So, or it's coming soon. You never know. So, look ahead to all the experiences that await you at whatever station you respawn at. So, with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed another episode of the Respawn Station podcast. Thanks for Austin for joining me on this unexpectedly deep episode. And until next time, as always, have a good night, a good morning, and a damn good time.